I failed at licking again last night. You were kind, are always, and blamed the dental dam I've only had 7 years to master. I had to switch to fingers, and although you rocked hard against my hand, I woke tasting my latex failure. Tonguing like loving shouldn't be so difficult. Come like love shouldn't be so damning. If only this neck would bend to you like you bend to me, maybe next time you could sit on my face. Anyway, okay. And from there to 3rd grade. Wishes were horses. 3rd grade, Christina Hugenschmidt taught me I could gallop. She had a stable in her yard. I liked to watch her ride. At recess, we would name our sex, our breed, if we were tame. I would always play a stallion, Arabian, and wild. You can tell people about that one, because, you know, it makes me seem butch and stallion-like. I was recently in Hawaii, and that actually has nothing to do with any poems I'm reading. I just like to say that. Just, you know, I'm bragging, I'm throwing it out there, letting you know. I have a lot of fears. I'm Jewish, so I'm neurotic, and I mean, I'm neurotic anyway, but I also like to throw out that I'm Jewish, you know. And so I'm going to read a few phobia poems. So this is called Ophidiophobia, which, in case you don't know, and why would you, unless you're neurotic, is the fear of snakes. Because a garter snake slid over my bare foot, a copperhead played dead on Spooks Branch Road, a yellow python hugged a heavy scarf around my neck, a cottonmouth came charging through a creek I was canoeing, a black racer at the nature center teased a mouse for half an hour and then swallowed it. In the Temple of Doom, the belly of a snake split open, spilling snake-shaped babies. I used to dream in snakes. I couldn't move for stepping on them. A snake exists that wears a fish's body. A man I shouldn't love wore snakeskin boots. And from there we go to scolosophobia, which is the fear of worms. I really don't like worms. I've a real thing against worms.
What about in tequila?
You know, all worms, I'm an equal opportunity worm hater. I just, you know, I'm not prejudiced. I just hate them all. So this is called scolosophobia. The earthworms that unsheltered themselves from the shifting swamps in Buffalo punctuated every step that first night of that first visit with you to Houghton, inhabited the joint custodies of my childhood. Here comes Mr. Worm, my father would say, and he would. Do not appear on our daily Manhattan sidewalks. Unlike the sewer dwellers, the corner hiders, the urban shadows, there is nowhere for them to burrow or emerge from, except the self-contained parks we were so sure we would regularly wander. I step into the rain and smell the steaming subway, moist garbage spatter, laundry and coffee on damp pavement, but there is no feral musk from those slugging, cock-headed shrivelers. I like to give myself assignments for what I'm going to read, so I was like, I'll do creepy crawly poems and some poems about the body, and then I'll end on a high note. So there's really not a theme. So I failed my own assignment. But I was recently in Hawaii. So this is called Haunting. I'm particularly proud of this poem because why am I proud of it? Because it's a terza-rima sonnet, and I don't write in form, but I studied with formalists, and they did terrible things to me, so yeah, whatever. It's called Haunting. The fetal pig I dissected in high school, the way I had to pull its pale skin back, the formaldehyde stink that filled the hall, the boneless, bloodless, not quite pig, a sack of organs, conceived to be unborn and soused. We labeled each part with its proper tag. The sounds of sex that filled my mother's house, the porn my father spread across his bed, the nights I woke to think a ghost had roused me up to find my mother giving head to whichever man lived with us then, She didn't know I saw, I never said. The stale coffee on my father's breath when he would come at night to tuck me in. And this is called entomophobia, which is the fear of insects. It's kind of long, sorry. But it's in sections, so you'll feel like, it's broken up. I was recently in Hawaii, so, one. Playing by myself behind the complex in East Asheville, I stepped into a mound of ants. In that apartment, we had a cat and kittens in a room where I was not allowed once we knew I was allergic. But I would go and watch them sometimes, tumbling in their box, a whirl of eyeless, flat-eared mewing. Of course, I didn't mean to step into the mound, or to stand there long enough to become a bloody, upflowing river. And the thing about red ants is they don't bite one at a time, but somehow, suddenly, all at once, hundreds, needling my little girl legs, and up, and up, and up. My mother picked me up and carried me inside to the tub, pulled me out of crawling clothes, stood me under the cold burning shower. She gasped to see the welts. She covered me in powder. 2. In Sarasota, they met a different breed of cockroach, more volatile than any in New York. At first, that first palmetto bug was just a notch in the wood paneling behind their bed. When it moved, my mother, before she was my mother, ran outside in her underwear. When it flew, my father, before he was my father, screamed and beat it with a broom. And once, one parked in front of the front door as my mother ready to leave for work. Taking no chance it would fly at her, she climbed out the bathroom window. It's a true story. One of my favorites. Imagine my mom crawling out of bed. Anyway. You don't know her, so it's not cute to you. But it's cute to me. 3. Except for the cockroach part, obviously. He woke up stung and starting to rash, so took a bath to soothe the itching. He swallowed so much from the hot water spreading, you couldn't even see the sting. He swallowed so much that when he woke us, his penis wasn't scary. He swallowed so much we had to call our mother to drive us to the hospital. The ER doctor said my father was lucky, this close to anaphylactic shock. The ER doctor gave my father a pen filled with adrenaline ink. The ER doctor said allergies like Daddy's, like tornadoes, I thought, often develop without warning, even overnight. My father blamed us for the yellow jacket and has never carried his EpiPen. My mother blamed my father for stewing in his hives. And I'm going to read one poem about bones. I have a thing about bones. And then I'm going to finish on a high note. So this is called The Girl Who Turned to Stone, and that was me knocking the microphone. That wasn't part of the poem. But I was recently in Hawaii, and you can tell anyone you want about that, because Hawaii's great. You should go there if you haven't been, except for the 10-hour flight. But if you like to fly, you'll be great. And so this is called The Girl Who Turned to Stone. I'm obsessed with Discovery Health Channel specials. Anyone else? No, just me. Okay. Well, I'm obsessed with them, and so this is about that. The girl who turned to stone actually turns to bone. A second skeleton grows over the first. As muscle makes bone of itself, she grows a second set of elbows. Bats stretch wings of bone under her arms. The spine is doubling itself vertebra by vertebra. Luciana is 7, but she knows to speak now while she still has only one jaw, before even her voice is bone. Soon, year by year if she's lucky, each joint, as it meets its twin, will fuse in place. So as not to break, she will be hoisted from her bed in a giant sling and propped on a wheelchair. It's not paralysis, not really. It's nothing to do with nerves. No one can flex her muscle bones for her. It's not that she can't move so much as she becomes unmovable. Glass blown around itself, ice in 2 ages. I don't know Luciana, but I watch her on the Discovery Health Channel. We have the same bent Tyrannosaurus arms, the same posture, awkwardly proper from natural or rather unnatural spinal welding. Our diseases seem to know each other. My bones talk to her bones.